Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, you already know what it is. We talking Moon Knight. That's right. This music got me hyped. This episode was fantastic. And let's bring us in here. What up, ladies and gentlemen? It's another week. It's me, your boy Fab. Welcome to my channel. Of course, I'm being joined by my boy Ed. Ed, how you doing, bro?
Long day, bro. I'm thrilled to be talking about anything but work.
Hell yeah, I agree, brother. I agree. So we're going to be talking about Moon Knight's second episode, which is, of course, entitled Summon the Suit. Summon the Suit. Hear it a bunch of times this episode. Stephen Grant didn't necessarily know what the fuck they were talking about, but we're going to talk about it. So let's kind of just quickly go through the episode a little bit, and then we'll talk about what we liked most and what we didn't, and just how excited we are going into the next episode. But it picks up basically where it left off last time. At Stephen Grant is about to die in the bathroom. Finally gives up, lets the Moon Knight finally come out. Mark takes control and beats the shit out of what we find out is now called a jackal, right? So it picks up right where it left off. Steve Grant wakes up in his bed like he's waking up from a nightmare.
Like he always
tries to run out, and it's just like, oh, look at that. That's my boy fucking Husney. What's up, brother? What's up, Milan? Yes, later tonight. But he wakes up, runs out the fucking bed, falls face first, and basically realizes it's not a nightmare. This shit actually happened. So he looks at the mirror and he tries to kind of pull Mark out. So it was an interesting scene, right? This is the first, like, as you see the episode go on, he starts to finally have a dialogue with Mark. But here in his apartment, can't really get nothing out of him yet. So he says, you know what? Fuck it. Let me go back to the museum. And there's a funny part. Unfortunately, I have no pictures of it, but the funny part when he goes and he tries to talk to the security guy,
Scotty.
Scotty. He's calling him the wrong name, and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna blow your mind, man. Let's go watch the security footage." So he takes him over there, and this is like, I didn't know if they were gonna show it, but I get why they're doing it now, right? So they're watching the video, and there's no footage whatsoever of the creature. It just looks like Steven's going crazy, running around in an empty fucking thing. But there was a really cool spot that finally, when he's like, "Yo, man, that's you," and then like you see it's Mark coming out of the bathroom, and he looks up, he's like, "That's not me, man." That was a really cool shot. I like that a lot. What do you think of that spot?
I thought that like just the look on his face, like that, like you look at Steven's face, and that's a testament to Oscar Isaac. Like he literally looks like two different people. That dude was all business, all serious, and Steven is just like a babe in the woods. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on. But you knew from the look in his face that you were definitely going to get a big dose of Mark Spector.
Hell yeah. And I really like that, man. It definitely is a testament to Oscar Isaac. It's just like, just from his facial expressions, man, to be able to play two characters like that, there's not much difference. It's not like his hair is different or he's in it's great acting, 100%.
All expression.
Let's talk about this next scene because it's interesting. So after he realizes that's not him, right? The security guy basically rats him out, brings him to maintenance, and he ends up getting fired, right?
Yeah.
But he's talking to some guy in an office who must be management or something at the museum, but he ends up offering him like this weird pamphlet of like, I like this one. He said, Husky says Moon Knight's giving him slight Jason Bourne vibes. And you know what? It kind of is. I would agree with that.
Basically,
he is. And you kind of learn more about it in the next couple of scenes. But he basically gives him like some weird pamphlet about a facility that it looks like they're probably going to talk about it more later in the later episodes. But it's definitely interesting. Do you think that guy who worked there, that guy with the pamphlet who was talking to him saying, "Oh, we got doctors and people that can help you," you think he works for Harrow secretly?
I feel like this organization of his has infiltrated just about everything in this area. It seems that way. Like all these guys have the tattoos. It was kind of a surrealistic scene when Steven in the first episode was talking to the guard, and they all just like flashed their tattoos, everyone in the whole room. It was insane. I mean, it's given it gives like that feeling of like hopelessness. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like what am I going to do to get away from these people? It's insane.
Yeah, definitely. So,
But I wouldn't be surprised if this guy was definitely like.
I thought so too. He gave me the kind of vibe. It's like he's being too nice to him. Obviously, we find out more stuff about Haro, but I thought maybe like, you know, the way he was like in control of like mad people in the museum all of a sudden. I thought maybe he was, but he asked him, "Have you stolen anything?" to kind of remind you of you know, the little MacGuffin that he has, the little thing.
Yeah.
Huzzy's got jokes here, man. He says the city RFs have the same tattoos. You bugging, man. But like they end up looking in the pockets and stuff like that, and then he like pulls out the storage key facility. So it's like, all right, so that's the next thing that he's got to figure out, right? That's why he has it in his pocket. He goes to the little park. He starts talking to his gold guy. Just chilling, which honestly in the first episode I thought was the statue, but like when he like moved or whatever, when he touched, I was like, oh shit, he's one of them street performers, of course. I live in New York and I don't fucking know these things. But then he goes to the storage container, and again, it's cool the way they're like, yeah, man, of course I know you. You know what I mean? And when he's talking to the guy who works at the storage facility, so it's like, all right. Again, he's like, fuck, man, what the hell am I doing when I'm sleeping? Because everybody knows me. I know nobody. And then the worker lets him in. And then basically he goes into the container. And finally, once he goes near like the bag and stuff, Mark finally comes down. It's like, all right. Now we got to talk. Don't look in there. You know, you're going to blow my shit up right now. So they start talking. And this is where he gets a lot of dialogue. And I know, like, you know, you as a fan of the comic, how did you feel about the scene where he's basically telling him, like, look, I'm the avatar for Khonshu. I'm his fist of him or whatever.
It's like it's another like surreal scene because you knew it had to happen. You wanted it to happen in the first episode because I feel like every moment where there's no storytelling is a moment lost at this point. So a scene like this had to happen, dude. Like he's spinning around in his own world. I mean, and he needed to put a face to it. It just happens to be his own face.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an awesome scene. Like he covered as much as he could with a guy who's like frantic. Like this guy, he's telling him everything, but he's just not. You know, he's
not retaining any of it because it's too much. It's like, holy shit, what the hell am I doing?
Exactly. It was at this point. I'm watching it with my wife, and I'm like, yo, it's kind of funny. Like, why is this the moment where Spectre's losing control? Like, why is it that he can't just claim the body whenever he wants to? How did Steven get so strong at this point? I mean,
I think it's like I think we'll find that it's more of the insecurities. I think like Steven's I feel like Steven's a part of his mind that he created probably after whatever like crazy traumatic thing happened to him. And Steven's actually more because he's actually I think Mark doesn't necessarily always want to do everything that Khonshu wants. So I think it's like only when Steven's like super weak. There's a lot of things about Steven that I think are just barriers basically to prevent Mark from really going too far or keep doing more missions. But then as Steven starts to unravel here, the entire everything going on, he pulls out the passport. I like this because it's like, I'm like, oh shit, Americano, we in the building. And I saw like, if you zoom up and look, his birthday is March 9th. I was like, all right, I like it.
Oh shit, R.I.P. Biggie.
Yeah, man. And and he finds the gun in there, mad money from different countries. So, you know, Mark Spector's going around and he tells him I'm a mercenary. He tells him basically everything. But like Steven does, because he's basically the opposite. Mark is like cool, relaxed, the killer. Steven's the bumbling fucking idiot going crazy. And right away he's like, no, I'm going to the authorities. Fuck this shit, I'm out of here. And he's like, nah. And then Khonshu starts coming through and scares the bejesus out of him. Yeah. We get that shot that was in the trailer of all the lights flickering, going crazy. Awesome scene. Khonshu looks great. Loving the voice work in this episode by F. Murray Abraham.
He's been doing it for a million years.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. He's been in so much great stuff. And he's doing a great job in this one. So he gets all frantic. He running out, runs to the street. And then we meet the lovely Layla.
Yeah.
Now, Layla, I know, is not actually like a comic book character, but they're trying to incorporate other characters from what I've read. And Layla, we find out later on, actually, just while they're on this ride, like that's his wife. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he's dipped out on her for months. So
Yeah.
he's like, "What the fuck? I'm married? What?"
She served them papers and everything.
Yeah, actually, it's his papers.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, are we gonna do this or what? Like, this was your idea." And he's like, "I would never divorce you." So he ends up taking her back to his flat, and in this apartment that he's got going on here, she doesn't understand anything. She thinks he's still bullshitting.
Yeah.
You know, she thinks he's just fucking having a breakdown, doesn't want to be with her. For some reason, just doesn't want to tell her the truth. So all this stupid shit is going on, and you can see like he's talking in French, like naming the poets and poems that she really likes, and she's like, "That's mine," you know, like that's my favorite stuff. And it's like maybe Steven's taking bits and pieces of Mark's life, and he's like creating this alternate life that he's lived about, like, you know, with bits and pieces of actually Mark's life. So it's really interesting to see. I like their dynamic. How'd you like Layla when you met her?
It seems like she's, I don't know. I feel like they've all got their own niche. Like, you know, Mark he's an adventurer, but there's a purpose to that. Like he's a guy he's a hire, you know, somebody pays him, goes get the job done. He's not exactly like the Indiana Jones character that does it for the preservation of art or history and shit. Mark Spector's a mercenary. He gets paid to do what he does. This guy's like a silly romantic, and then she just seems like an ass kicker. She's an adventurer. She lives by the seat of her pants. Like, to see her develop, I think you'd learn a lot more about Spector as opposed to this poor bastard Steven.
Yes, I mean Steven, again, I feel like Steven is definitely like the comic relief. You know what I'm saying? He's
Which
definitely
sucks, man. I feel terrible for this guy.
I know,
I feel bad for him. He gets kicked around like every episode.
Guy pretends to be crazy to divorce his wife. I'm sure divorce clients have heard it all before. That's a good point, I think. But I don't think he's joking, man. I don't think he knows. This guy don't look like he knows how to get any pussy, if you know what I'm saying. He's a little too out of his mind. But this is the part where things start to switch up a little bit, right? While he's talking to her, the door knocks. She finds the bag. He basically says, "Take the fucking scarab. I don't give a shit about it. You know, like I don't even know what it is. You can take it and just run with it." And all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door, and now we got people coming through, and they look like cops, you know, and
they probably are cops.
They probably are cops, but they're in the crew of Mr. Harrow. So they take him into the car, and they basically take him to like some weird facility that they got going. And they just leave him in the car, which is really interesting because it turns out that they leave the walkie-talkie in there. And they basically just listen to see if he does have multiple personalities, which is what Harrow, I guess, already thought to begin with. But since we find out in just a little bit, he knows a lot about Khonshu and this particular being his avatar. And he hears them, and they open the door and basically like, "All right, man, you're talking, you have a bunch of different people." And they have a couple of really cool spots there, especially on the street, where he's like, "Oh, is he talking to you right now?" Like he knows already. So I thought that was really interesting.
Even repeated some of the shit that he said. He was like,
"Yeah, exactly, word for word." And he's like, "Can you hear him?" He's like, "Not anymore." You know, so he takes him inside, shows him his little Manson family around that he has there, and basically tells him the whole spiel. They sit down, he gives him some lentil soup. I appreciate that. I had some lentil soup the day before as well. So we sat down, and now we get the spiel, and you find out what Ethan Hawke's character is really all about. He doesn't want to be like Khonshu, who punishes people after they do something wrong. His god, Amit, how do you pronounce it? Amit. This crocodile lady, whatever it is, she believes in punishing people before they even do anything. So very minority.
Well, it's the entire span of their life. So whether it was done in the past, if it was done in the present or the future, you're guilty of a crime that you may have committed, are in the process of committing, or will commit in the future.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, this is a good point by Husney. He said usually the criminals have a mental issue, especially like Batman people. It's refreshing to turn things around. Very interesting, especially
But
you know.
I think that aside, like the mental issues are at this point, you already know Moon Knight is 10 different people, but I thought that this moral juxtaposition here with between like their individual crusades. This guy apparently he's following this Amit character. We already know that there's bad blood between her and Khonshu, but what we know about Khonshu is that he's a creep to this guy. He just seems like he's the guy that'll chase a fly around with a sledgehammer, and then this guy is actually killing people. He's killing people for shit that they haven't done, like you said. So like the
You
morality.
guys like killing children?
Yeah, like
I bring up a point.
But in that conversation, just in the span of that conversation, like for a brief moment, you're like, dude, this guy has a point. Like Khonshu is a fucking an asshole. Like even Mark Spector doesn't want anything to do with him. It's like, let me do this thing and let me be done with it. You know, like
Yeah,
it goes back and forth.
Go. Yeah,
no, he won't. And Spector won't let him go because he's afraid of what's going to happen with Layla.
Yeah, no, exactly. But it was interesting to mention before you, I was the Fist of Vengeance. So it's like, he's living the life that Mark lived before, and something happened. Well, clearly, it's like, just because you're one avatar doesn't mean it's the end of your life. You can, they can get out of your body and move on. But
yeah,
I feel like there's more to that for Mark because of something that happened to him. I feel like we'll find out later. But yeah, then they start. It's basically all about this conversation about like, you kill children, you punish people before they actually do anything, and that's really the point. That's where you always go. You go to like a child. How can you punish a child for something they've done and they've never like actually done it yet? You could think something doesn't mean automatically it's the worst thing in the world. And kind of it gets a little crazy here, and then like out of nowhere, I felt like it was very abrupt. But Layla shows up there, and basically she's like, "Yeah, I got the scarab or whatever," because like they get right down to business right away. I'm found like, "Where's the fucking scarab?" That's all I really care about. I don't really care if you buy our bullshit or not. I want the scarab. So they start running. A little comical point. I thought maybe you have a group of all these people. Maybe they fight a little better, but she basically beats the shit out of the Mexican guy and throws him off the bridge or whatever that is. There's a balcony, and then he starts summoning another jackal. Right?
Yeah.
The jack-off. So the jack-off comes out of the hole. They end up running into this little storage container thing. He says a funny line about how, oh my God, I'm going to die in a crazy person's man cave, which was pretty funny. And then they proceeded to basically take it out the window, and then we get the money shot. Not exactly what I thought we were going to get when this happened, but pretty cool, which of course I'm talking about Mr. Knight's appearance. Right? So
which looks fucking amazing, dude.
It does look really awesome. But you, as somebody who liked the comics, did this Mr. Knight meet your expectations or give you something different or refreshing?
The fact that Steven and Mark Spector are Mr. Knight is a little again, one of those situations that it was not a comic book situation, but this is another conversation that like needed to be had. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is another thing that I'm willing to forgive. It looks amazing, and the content of the conversation was important. It's important, like but this is not the Mr. Knight of lore, of canon. You know what I'm saying? But the scene was incredible.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome. I again, not knowing much of the backstory, I thought it was okay. I thought Mr. Knight would be another personality, but it's cool that because she kept saying, you got to put the suit on, got to summon the suit, the suit. And he summons it as he's falling so he doesn't die, but he doesn't turn into Mark, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah. This is, I mean, par for the course. This is like Marvel kind of feeding you little drips and drabs of it. But for him to be able to find the middle ground between himself and the Moon Knight persona or Mark as Moon Knight, this was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a decent little twist, and honestly, I didn't look at it like it was a bad thing. The fact that I don't know anything really about the comics makes me feel like, you know what, I wouldn't be that upset. But I did like the way they portrayed it. I love the way the suit looks. He looks really awesome. No, he's not white Deadpool. The Ford jersey was Mr. Nine Times Milan. I wish he was that cool. I wish. But this was cool. He goes to I guess, grab something. I can't remember what it was.
He was looking for the scarab. He asked him if he still had the scarab.
And then he pulled out the two, I guess, nunchucks or whatever that is, or just sticks that he's got. Yeah, the batons that he beats people with. Yeah. I thought that looked awesome. That was really, really cool.
You notice how the lapel of the vest has like those, like almost like those crescent points.
Yeah.
And almost
it's really
like
cool.
Wing, like feathers, like Khonshu is like the hawk persona.
Yeah.
It's awesome, dude.
I think they did a great job. I mean, it can't look any better than that, honestly. I don't know what you expecting if you want something better, but I think he looks fucking fantastic. So now he fights the Jackal in the street. People could say this part looks a little goofy.
But now we know
by himself.
Now we know why they couldn't see anything on the camera, because apparently only like mystical beings can see the Jackal. And
exactly, which I thought was interesting, because that was like, all right, now I didn't understand what the hell they were going for, but it's basically, unless you're like possessed or one of the mystical beings, you can't see the other ones. So it's like really only Mark and Steven can see him. But then they end up fighting, and finally he's like beating the shit out of him. And finally, Mark's like, "Yo, people are gonna die, man. If people are gonna die if you don't stop fucking around and let me take over." So you see him finally. It's the shot from the trailer where he turns around in front of the bus, full Moon Knight gear, starts beating him up, and he takes like, "All right, let me get him out of here." So he starts running across the street. There was 2 awesome shots of him running across the rooftop. It's like a long pier shot. Really, really cool shot. And then finally they did the one from the Disney Plus sign that they kept showing where he leaps over, which was really awesome.
In that little the time between the street just before he gets hit by the car and the rooftop, you get an idea about like the kind of power that this guy's dealing with. Like the dude crushed and ripped off a bumper, just barely touching the thing, and then running. You could tell just how fast the dude was, jumping the span of a city street. Like remember that Blade leap? In the original Blade movie. It was absolutely kind of like that.
It was awesome, and I hope one day we get to see Blade and him in the same kind of series. But he does an awesome fucking move where he like jumps off, kind of lets him go past him a little bit, hits him with the moon thing, whatever the fuck it is, whatever his knife is, and then he fucking impales him on the fucking on the pyramid. Awesome spot. And you see how basically like any of these creatures, they like fade away to sand after they get killed. So then they get back to the point where now they have kind of role reversal, which was interesting. And you see the scene that you've seen in the trailer where I guess you would have thought maybe if it was the Steven persona not liking what he was hearing from the Mark, but it's actually the opposite. A nice flip, a little reversal. But he's basically telling them how like, look, we can't keep doing this. I'm never gonna go back. And like once we change, I'm never doing this. They'll just like lock me up and all this other stuff. And he finally flips out and he breaks the shit out of the glass. And I mean, it was interesting just to see this dynamic of Mark being on the outside and this guy is inside his head talking to him. What'd you think of this spot?
I thought it's tough to watch, man, because in the comics, like there's really no period of time where these two are getting to know each other. You know what I'm saying? At this point, at the point in the books, it's like they've known each other. They grew up with each other. They know, everyone is aware of the other. So this is like, I mean, again, conversations that need to happen. This Steven has to know, like I'm trying to get something done here. I have to repay this debt before this guy takes everything from me.
Exactly.
And Steven just doesn't. He's still not grasping everything that this guy has. He's tortured. Spectre is tortured by Khonshu, and that's the
Yeah.
feeling you get. And he's like,
And honestly, my wife said something really interesting. And basically, like when she did a little reading, she's like, "This is kind of like therapy for somebody with a multiple personality disorder. Sometimes, like they initially start where they don't know the other personalities inside of them, but as they get therapy and learn to live with the situation, they're aware of the other personalities. So this was like very accurate, kind of to that portrayal. So it was interesting and really cool to see. But then they get down to basically how, Khonshu finally shows up. It's like, Mark, you're changing the deal. You're changing and here you get the first threat of him saying, like, look, in my next avatar, I'm looking at your wife. And that's what he's really trying to prevent. So I thought that was kind of shows you, like, look, Khonshu's not a good god either. If you think the other one's bad and the other one's probably worse, Khonshu's equally as fucked up, maybe a little better, because our main character, it has to deal with him, but he's still a fucked up person or fucked up being. Yeah. And I thought, like, how'd you feel about the little twist of him wanting Layla as the next?
I mean, it makes sense because Layla, for one, is aware of Moon Knight. What he does and who he is, and I think that, but the problem is really that Khonshu, he deals in bargains, like he barters. So this guy, he gave him life back, so he wants this debt paid off before he moves on, and that could have been the case with Harrow. He could have had a deal with him, and then when the deal was up, he just kind of let him go, or I don't know. I'm sure they'll touch on that, but you're right about him not being. He's like the dark kind of hero of gods, like there's a comment.
Yeah, I mean, he's been kicked out, so there's definitely a reason. He's done some shady stuff that the other gods feel that he's not worthy to be in their group.
I remember a specific comic. I would have to go digging for it, but this
there's a great part by Mark. Mark writes, "This is why introducing a character in the series is better or greater than introducing one in a movie. We have 6 hours to play out the multiple personality dynamic instead of 2 hours," which is, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they make sequel after sequel after sequel in the Marvel universe, because they know they have to cover way too much. But now the series makes it perfect. It's the perfect segue to go straight into movies and kick it off.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I'm loving this. Of course, after this last scene, I wish I could have got a picture of it because it was awesome. He says, all right, so what are we going to do? And he goes, you know where the hell we're going. And then, of course, then they end up in Egypt. You get that nice, beautiful shot. He wakes up. You see Steven in the mirror, in the reflection. And then Mark is getting up with the slow motion shot, open up the window, and you see the pyramids, and you're in Egypt. It was definitely a great scene to kind of finish on. So let's touch base. Overall, 10 out of 10 Marons. What are you giving it? Poujin. I know you're biased. Poujin, tell me what you want. What do you think about this one? Was it better than episode 1? What was your kind of rating on it?
It's tough because I gotta give it. Man, it's really tough not to give it another 10. But I'm gonna give it a 9 only because I guess I wanted to see more. We're just chasing it, I know these things are going to unfold, but I just want to. I'm just being childish because I want it all now. I want it all now.
No, of course. So, you want to be one of the lucky guys who have gotten the first 4 episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So I mean, I'm going to give it a 9. But I loved it, and it's more info's coming out. It's just getting better.
Did you like it better than the first episode, or you still think the first one was better?
No, I did like it. Because we got Mr. Knight and Moon Knight.
Yeah, I think this episode. Yeah, and honestly, I really have no issues with it. I know the part where he looks like he's finding something, looks a little ridiculous. But I thought this episode was way better than the first one. And if I was thinking like an 8 or 9 on the first one, this one was a solid 10. I think if they keep getting better and better, this might be the best show Marvel's put out so far.
Yeah, bro.
So for me, I'm very hyped for episode 3. I wish it was Wednesday already. But
I know, because now that he's in Egypt, we're getting a ton of backstory, and that's
yeah. Now I feel like this is where we're going to get pretty much the entire part of what happened to him before he became Moon Knight. It just makes sense when he's in Egypt now. There's going to be flashbacks before, and we'll see what happens with Layla and Harrow. He's already got the scarab. We didn't mention that. He does kill some old guy. The only little ridiculous thing is that like Layla is like just happens to be there, and she like turns and looks, and then zooms off or whatever. But a little corny, but not really anything to worry about or complain about. Honestly, I thought it was solid 10 out of 10, and I'm hyped for next week. And I think it was great, man. Let me pump this music, get ourselves going. Ed, we doing it every week, baby. I want to thank everybody. Hell yeah, that's the pirate shit, baby. I just want to thank Ed for joining me. I want to thank you guys. If you've watched, please hit the like button, leave a comment on there, and subscribe to my channel. We got more shit. Me and Ed are going to have a couple of things coming pretty soon, but check us out every Wednesday or Thursday talking about Moon Knight, baby. Ed, thank you so much for joining me, brother. Hey, see you next week, brother.
Later.
Later. Da-da.